So in this video we're going to kind of attack a little bit of something that has a small possibility of being on the MCAs, which is why I'm having you do this. So it's also something that we're going to learn after the MCAs. We're going to take quite a bit of time looking into this. So here's what's happening. If I had a fraction and I had to add these two fractions, the big thing here is you need a common denominator. So we're looking at 3 and 5, and we're saying what number do they both go into, the smallest number they both go into, and they both go into 15. So I need to make 3 into 15. I multiply by 5, top and bottom, and then I need to make 5 into 15. I multiply by 3, top and bottom, and then I actually go through and do that multiplication. 5 times 2 is 10 over 15, plus 1 times 3 is 3 over 15. And now that I have a common denominator, I can add the 10 and the 3 on the top together, 13, over, and then my bottom stays the same. It stays the 15. And so this is adding fractions. Well, here's what's going to happen on your test. They're not going to give you numbers. They're going to start giving you some polynomials. So let's say we had 1 over x plus 3 plus 1 over x plus 5. And you're supposed to add those together. Well, if you remember in our last example, you had to multiply to get your common denominator. So we need to be able to multiply to get our common denominator. So here's the deal. This addition right here, this plus sign right here, is not multiplication. So when I look at x plus 3 in my denominator, I'm looking at it as one thing that I can't separate and I can't change. And x plus 5 is something I can't separate and I can't change. So as I'm trying to find a common denominator, I'm looking at that I have x plus 3 and I have x plus 5. Basically, you're just going to multiply each fraction by the other denominator. So, for instance, on the left I have x plus 3. I'm going to multiply top and bottom by x plus 5, the other denominator. And then on the right I have x plus 5, so now I need x plus 3 on this side. So now, if you look in the denominators, I have x plus 3, x plus 5, x plus 3, x plus 5. So I have the same denominator. On top, I need to multiply through. Now these are ones. I maybe should have picked a different number. If they were different numbers, you'd have to multiply that number times both of them. So 1 times x is x, 1 times 5 is 5. And then remember when we had a common denominator, we could just add the tops together? I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So now I go to the other one, and 1 times x is x, and 1 times 3 is 3, over my common denominator of x plus 3, x plus 5. So now I have x plus x is 2x, and 5 plus 3 is 8, all over. And then sometimes you can leave it as the two bubbles, x plus 3 and x plus 5, and other times they actually want you to multiply those out. So x plus 3, x plus 5, get x squared, 3x, 5x, and 15. So on bottom we get x squared plus 8x plus 15. And then this would be my answer. So that's basically what you're doing. Again, a recap. To figure out your common denominator, you're just going to take this denominator and multiply top and bottom by it. And then you're going to take this denominator and multiply top and bottom by it. And then just be careful as you go through. You're multiplying those numbers through. If there's a negative right here, it's going to go with this one and go and multiply through. And so then whatever this was multiplied goes on the top of the fraction. On the bottom is your common denominator. And if you need to multiply bubbles together, you make a box.